everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm here with Hillary. Say hello.
Hi, everybody.
We are having actually like a little work weekend here at my house. Not really little.
No, not little at all.
Not little at all. There,
little.
yeah, we have. I think we counted 16 people who came to kind of just talk about, how we could support teachers in the work that we do. So Hillary was here, and it was just perfect because we decided that we would do our Facebook chat today. Yep.
And we're in person.
And we're in person. We're live. And we did go on a hike today, so it was a little rough. But hopefully. You guys are having a great weekend. So just let me know how you're doing. Let me know what you've been doing today, maybe over the weekend, what it is that you've been up to. And what we're going to talk about today is answer some questions that I've gotten. I know that she's gotten as well. And maybe if you have a question about sound walls, we're going to be talking about that today. So go ahead and hop in the chat there if you have some questions about sound walls, or if you just kind of want to say hi. I would love to know kind of how your weekend is doing. We have had a weekend of just sharing lots of information. We've done a couple get out and move about things, which have been fun. But then we've also been talking about, again, ways that we can help make jobs of you guys, you teacher guys, easier. Grammatically not correct, but we've been talking a lot. So I'm just going to double check everything looks good on my phone. And I thought maybe I would start with a couple of questions that I get in emails. And one of them, and I know you get them as well, Hillary, but one question that I often get asked is, when do you put the words up on do you put them on the sound wall versus the valley? And once they're up there, can they be moved? Right?
Absolutely. I say definitely move them according to what you're teaching.
Right.
So I usually start with a skeleton. I call it a skeleton of the sound wall. So I actually kind of plan it out the way I think I'm going to want it, but then I take those words down, and later I will come back and add those in as I'm teaching those words. We were talking about the heart words or one of the keywords. So if I'm talking about how to spell a certain sound, I'll put that keyword up.
Okay, so wait, I have got to make myself stop talking. Okay, it looks like it's going live. Yeah, so like, for example, for our word list that we have, the word for is one of the very first words that they learn. And so it might show up under the F sound. And then when you get to that chunk, that vowel controlled sound, then you can move it over to that.
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
That's what I would do. And then as far as like your keywords, I always kind of set it up the way I think it's going to look, and then I go through and either use those
coming soon
signs, or I use a pocket chart and just pull them out until I'm ready to add the words to the wall.
Yeah. So we included the coming soon. I think it's in a blog post, and I think we slid it into the product as well. So you can, if you decide you want to, sometimes I have a hard time with saving space. Like I think, okay, I'm going to put it there, and then knowing that it's probably not going to be till July, or not January before I'm going to need that, and then I use it for something else. Sometimes it's just nice to have, if you're going to have it like attached to the wall, to be able to have that set there, and then you can put those coming soon, whatever you want to do. You could also use, Post-it notes or pieces of different. It doesn't have to be that intriguing. If you wanted to put print it out like a little gift box there, a little clip art gift box, or like a present, and cover it up. That would help kind of build some anticipation as well.
Yeah. And I always use a pocket chart, and I've seen teachers just put the cards over.
Oh, that's a great, yeah. So you have it there. Nice. Yeah, that would be perfect. I'm trying to think of some other ones. My sound is gone. Mandy, you don't hear my sound. Let's see. I think we're okay here. Yeah, so I think we're okay here. Hopefully you can still hear me. Another question that I hear often is, do you need to put every word up there, right?
And I think it can be overwhelming if you tried to have, it would overwhelm you, but it would also overwhelm your students if you had to have every word up there. So I would definitely, the ones that you're focusing on, those sounds that you're working on, when I teach the sounds, I will slowly add a keyword, maybe each day that we're working on it. So And then if you have to, if you run out of room, you could move a card off that you feel like the kids aren't
maybe
using.
aren't using, or if you decide there's maybe your school mascot is something and it's not on there, you can make your own as well, right?
Yeah.
Right. So you can customize it, which is whatever's going to be the most meaningful for your classroom. We were the Dutchmen, so I mean, you could definitely put, you could put even that, that diagraph in the middle could be something that you could talk about as well. So you can move it around depending on what you're talking about, right?
I think there's a lot of confusion about should I put it on Val Valley or put it under the consonants, and it's kind of like what we were saying, that you'll just move it as you're working on different sounds.
Right.
So sometimes it may be on a different area.
Okay, so a couple people saying no sound. Very interesting. Amanda saying there's no sound on. Okay, so I'm hearing it there, and that's in my Facebook group. And then I'm going to go into my page, my Facebook page, and see what's happening over there. Yeah, I'm still hearing me over there. So I'm sorry, I don't know. You have sound, Kristen. Thank you, friend. I always worry about that. So it looks like, yep. So it looks like I have it all around. So it might be a setting on your computer, which if you can't hear me, that was absolutely no help whatsoever. But so go ahead and say one more time. What were you saying? What were you talking about?
I was just saying, so we get a lot of questions about where to place the word. Should this be on the Val Valley? Should this be under a certain consonant? And it really depends on what you're teaching. There's no like hard and fast rule when it comes to sound laws about where that card's going to go, right? So you may have to start with it in one area, and as you talk about it, you may be in the middle of talking about it and say, listen, like the word for, we're going to move this now because we're talking about something else.
Right.
And kind of show them how it's
right.
Right.
And I think, one thing that is really different about maybe sound walls and the Val Valley from word walls is the fact that it's done just always in the presence of the students, right? So it's not like they come in one day and now all of a sudden there's something on there. It should be mapped with the students, even though we included the mapping there for you. And it's funny because we both say words differently depending on where you are in the country. You might say things differently. So what I have it mapped might look really differently than how it is pronounced where you are. So we have some suggestions and we have them printed. But of course, it's really meant to be a guide for you and not necessarily using. We have to think about what would make the most meaningful impact on students is if you're doing it and marking it with them and then using the one, even if you don't like your handwriting or whatever, using that to go up on the wall versus this pre-printed thing that you're going to put on the wall, right? Which I think it's going to be a lot more meaningful.
And I've seen this a lot where kids come in and just see a sound wall and everything's up and it's overwhelming. So I do like the idea of always working on it with your students, or even if you have to already have it up, but you're revealing it in front of your students. I think that's really helpful.
And so Kristen's asking, so what if your phonics curriculum which is required, rolls out consonants and vowels? I need space for both the sound wall and the Val Valley. Yeah, I mean, I say you would. Now, what I did, because my space was very limited, is I printed multiple copies to a page. So instead of printing it full size, I'm trying to remember. I think I put I had it printed. It's in your print settings in your PDF. When you go to print, I had it print multiple pages on one page. Does that make sense? So instead of having, just for example, not a great example, but instead of having it all like this, it would print smaller, so there would be two on one page. So it did allow it to be a lot more condensed, and it wasn't as full size. So if you're maybe I know you're in a resource room, or maybe she has a little more limited space, that's an option for you. So you can adjust the print size. Okay, so yeah, Kristen, I got your question. So that sounds, she has more. I need space for, I roll out N and A.
Yeah, so I would always have both the consonant. I kind of refer to it as the sound wall, but it's really a consonant wall and a vowel valley. because both of those are combined into the sound wall. But I would have both up. You definitely need both up, I would say, all year. Even if
Yeah.
it's just a skeleton and then you're adding, what we're saying is you may move a card. So you may move a card from the consonant wall to the vowel valley.
Yeah. Yeah, so she said since there's so many consonants, maybe shrink those down, and then have, I mean, there are smaller cards in there, but you can even make them smaller by doing two up on a page, and then maybe have more room for the vowel valley. You know, it depends also kind of on your grade level, so you may not have as many, you know, if you're first grade, I think, Kristen, I think you're kindergarten, if I remember correctly. I mean, sometimes people change, but I know you were kindergarten, I think you still are kindergarten. You're not going to have as many words. Of course, we have a ton of words in our curriculum, so you probably will use each of those in that vowel valley. But because those are the harder words, honestly, for students to master, you might want to go ahead and make sure that if you have to choose between which one's the bigger size, I would go with the vowel valley. You kind of feel the same way?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
But I also have used cabinet space. If you look at some of the photographs that are in there, you'll see that I've even, I did my vowel valley on cabinets because I was like, I don't have any room for this, and it is large, but it's definitely like a key piece of your classroom, so you want it.
You want it to not be super small, right? So you have, I know, and cabinets are actually such a great space. Especially if you, like the last school I taught with, they were nice, but the previous school, they were not nice looking. And so it's okay to cover them. You know, it does make it so it's okay to
Or
cover
even
them.
like if you have cubbies and you have a back side, in my classroom we did, where I could have put it on one side of the cubby. Kind of think of those other areas. And if you're debating between having a word wall and the consonant, I would take down the word wall or make that smaller. Because you could I think you can still use word walls, and you can use them for, like if you were doing a science unit, I would use those words to help your students with certain vocabulary words too. So you could still use that, but that might be something that you want to do.
Right. You know, one thing that we did in our little writing folders is that we had a personal word wall too, so that's a way that you can, give students access to them in alphabetical order, even though we know that can be really confusing for kids. If you want to have like a personal, well, I love your personal one, but if for some reason if your school says you have to have a word wall, and the sound wall doesn't fit that box, then you can say, oh yeah, I have a word wall, so it's a personal word wall. Yeah. Okay. So I don't know if there's any other questions in here. I know that you guys are having a Sunday night and hopefully enjoying it. And hopefully our friends who were listening elsewhere were able to get the sound on. But those were kind of really the questions that come up again and again for me. How about you? Yeah, it's like, where do you put them and when do you move them? I think probably the biggest takeaway is that be flexible. You can put it one place and then you can decide to move it somewhere else later. And then also always do that marking and discussion in the presence of students, and then use that marking and post it instead of using, something that's already been pre-printed for you.
And we can't really tell people when to introduce certain words because a lot of times it's going to go along with your curriculum. So
yeah,
your sound law may look different than someone else's, and a lot of times that's because maybe your school requires a certain curriculum, and so you'll introduce those words at that time.
Yeah. Okay. You love Creepy Crayon? Oh yeah, I know. You know what? I actually have 2 copies of it. So Hillary, do you have it?
I don't
you have Creepy Crayon?
No, I don't.
All right. Yeah, because there's that one, and then there's this one here. So Hillary's gonna go home with Creepy Crayon. I know. I love it. I love it. Yeah, you're a winner. Woo! Yeah, thanks. Yeah, I had it pre-ordered, but then I actually needed it because I wasn't home. So I just went to a bookstore and had 1 copy. I was like, I'm taking that. So I got home and it was waiting for me, so it was perfect. So the Costco tip is gold. Okay, oh yeah, that's exactly where I found it. Yes, exactly. I went and they had, oh my gosh, they had Creepy Crayon, and then they had it. I don't know if you saw my picture, but they had Creepy Crayon, Creepy Carrot underwear, and Creepy Carrot like layered. So they were like these cups. They were beautiful.
Oh,
Yeah, so they had them there. So that was perfect. All right. Yeah, I love Costco.
You
Probably
made
one of the-
us tortillas from Costco yesterday.
I did. I
Isn't
made
that where they
that.
were from?
Yep, they were.
They were amazing. They're like dough already.
Yeah. So
And
if you,
they're just dough.
and then you just cook them. Yeah, there's it's a game changer. Unfortunately, they spoil you because then you're like, oh.
yeah, never really.
But you found it. Oh, good. She said she did it before, but she found it too. Okay, I'm so glad. All right, you guys. You guys have a great Sunday night, and we will see you next week. I'll put out a little schedule, let you know what's coming. Let me know in the comments if Sundays work for you. I am flexible. I can move it to another day of the week. And that's it. You guys have a great evening, and I'll see you guys next time. All right, bye.
Bye.